Actually, I meant to ask you before the game. So, from what I understand, like with a simulacrum, they have like once they cast a spell, they can't recover spell slots. Um, I was just curious if that was how Dazan worked.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, and I mean, I assume Brannick would kind of have learned that, but I just wanted to double check.
Yeah. Yeah, for what it's worth, he is not a clone. And that's one of the biggest differences between a simulacrum and a clone. Is that clones can actually benefit from rest. Effectively everything about him is limited. So for instance, I was a little bit free with casting spells from him to help you all because I knew he was going to die. As far as turning him over to you, I gave you kind of like a reset into where he was. I think I set up his little character sheet so it shows the spell slots that he has. Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
at like four, or he's at two of four first level spells and two of three second level spells. And that's kind of where he sits. He would have used all of his third level spells already in the module. Um, so we're kind of passing him on with that. So you can choose when to use his extra functionality, and we'll kind of like see from there. But in the long run, like I didn't, once you made the actual sacrifice to continue him, I didn't want to necessarily pull that little extra bit of utility because I think I burnt his two second level spells with levitate, kind of helping you guys get out of there. Um, and in the long run, it's very minor, so I'll let you have the choice of when to do that, instead of how that was done before.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
So I think the big thing that we're doing here is we will switch off to bring Red in and Kier in, so you all will have your backups here. I wrote down the initiative because I feel like this was the game that initiative tracking was failing on, but let's see if we can actually. Holy shit, it added bugbears when I added initiative. There's no bugbears on the screen.
It
So
looks like it added
Velix's.
Dazan twice.
Gotcha. Yeah, they won't even really have initiative for them either. Yeah, got a few of you twice. Yeah. And I think for what it's worth, I'm gonna nix the um mammoth from this fight kind of thing. We'll see how it goes here. I just always feel like it's really easy to get kills with how swingy it can be having two players, even with your sidekicks involved. So I had Lucian Bow at 20. Brennick was at 13. And I think the giant is right between you two. So yeah, I think for what it's worth, we're gonna pick up with this moment where they seem to be charging. And it will be up to Lu Bao to be the first to react and act upon the charging of the Frost Giant.
Before we get started, am I supposed to? I see the armored defender, but red I don't see.
I have red right below you on the map. If you do not see red, you can certainly try
No,
to go over.
I see the token, but I don't see the character sheet.
if you click on red under allies, it should bring up a little pop up on the bio and info. And then
Yeah.
if you go over to character sheet, her whole character sheet is pretty much that little thing where it is her stats, a little bit about saves and skills, and then it's basically her action is her normal action that she'll pretty much always take. And then she has two different temporary choices. Each of those are two per day. Administer healing, just set to 0. I don't think you used it, so that could have just been a randomness. But strike is 1, and administer healing are each a limited amount per day.
Okay. So when I open up Red's character sheet, it has the armor defender.
For the attack under actions,
Yeah,
armor defender attack,
who the armor defender is on Red's sheet, and the sheet for the armor defender has nothing.
there should be nothing for your actual armor defender. As right now, these are not characters; they are sidekicks. This person, instead of being a armorer, which is the subclass for the artificer, armor defender is the subclass follower. So that's why she is named armor defender. The steel defender only exists to show you where it is because red's main action is not to attack. Red's main action is to tell the steel defender to attack.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, it's one character, not two.
Sure. But again, like I feel like that's even still worded poorly because
Well,
it
I
still looks
understand what
like
you're
it's her
saying.
attacking. As far as I remember, because again, you picked a class that doesn't really exist in the things that I
Yeah.
had. So this is somebody's homebrew of what an artificer would look like under strongholds and followers. Um, it's supposed to be. I should rename that steel defender attack, and I think that would probably fix most of the confusion. But
Uh,
did you rename her Huli?
yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, you can also rename the actual character Huli instead of Red.
Okay, I got you. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so bam. I switched. Huli's attack is to tell the steel defender to attack.
I got you. All right. All good.
And then what? I think the strike is 1 has an attack, and then it does, yeah. So that's like what strike is 1 does is it gives you that different option. But yeah. So with all of those spell slots, whenever there's something like that, um, you keep the maximum, you keep what's left on the counter basically. So if you use strike as 1, you'll just want to reduce that. If you use administer healing, same thing for Kier, and same thing if you do anything with Dazan as well. So this will start off with Lu Bao, and then honestly, the way these are formatted, it's going to be Huli, and then it's going to be the Steel Defender. In the same way, it'll effectively be Brennick, Kier, Dazan.
So then I'm going to I'm going to apply Kenshi's shot and get off 2 with the longbow.
So what is that? You need to roll 2 more d4, or is it just the first weapon attack? It's any time.
Yeah, it's. I thought I rolled it for you. There it goes. So it's 18 total, and I'm going to
Yeah,
move.
but I want you to roll that for each attack.
That would be 23 total, and I'm going to move. That's the end of my turn.
So that takes you to Huli, which effectively takes you to the Steel Defender.
So this ground here is considered.
You guys are like right at a cliff face. The giant is above you.
Can the defender get up the base?
It can climb. I would say any given one of you climbing that is probably going to use all of your move. Yeah, I think it would require a dash action to close in with the giant, but probably like 30 to 40 feet to get up.
On
If you
that
assume
case,
it's a 10-foot, then it would be a 20-foot run to, or 20-foot climb.
in that case, we're going to move back. And that'll be her turn. Well, I guess wait, take dodge or whatever our equivalent is. That's nothing. Never mind.
The giant is going to rush up and attack the steel defender. I feel like I need to bring up Tasha's to have any clue about a steel defender. I don't know. I think I got it in my cheat sheets. 1 second.
It's AC 15.
Yeah, so the second one of those is just going to hit. And what does it have? 2 plus your intelligence modifier, plus 5 times your level. So, what is the intelligence modifier on Huli?
+4.
So 6 plus 25. So it should have 31 hit points. So with 2 great axe hits, it is going to take, that's 32 in the first hit. Should have swung different times. Yeah, he's just going to decimate the steel defender.
It is
And it is going
decimated.
to go to Brennick.
So Brannick is kind of alarmed at seeing this giant charging seemingly right towards him.
Oh yeah, my
Casts him.
I meant to kind of recap that because those arrows did stick into it. Those were solid shots with the arrows. So you're watching as this thing's kind of like running off of its mammoth, charging into your group, and as it kind of takes these 2 arrows from Lu Jianbao and they kind of spread, it's like stepping right between and over you and Dazan as just 2 quick bashes from its massive axe are just going right into this steel defender, this dog, and the thing is just going to be completely eradicated. But effectively, right now, the giant is standing on top of you. It is right above you.
Yeah, so as Brannick kind of sees the giant charging, he's going to instinctively kind of holding out his hands and muttering a few words. He casts mirror image.
Multiple Brennix. That's the one where I like roll a d20 to see which one I attack.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then depending on how many multiples he's got left.
Gotcha. Excellent.
But
Non-concentration.
yes,
Okay.
1 minute duration. Um, yeah, he wants to get away, but he's scared of being trampled by this thing. So I think he's gonna stay put as he does that and just kind of hope he doesn't get smushed.
I'm coming. Don't worry.
And meanwhile, Kier
I mean, you
is
guys just saw right there too that this thing can pretty much close in on any of you at any point. And as far as things go, it is going to get to attack who it wants to attack.
yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like Brannick essentially trying to get away is a lost cause, and it would just invoke an opportunity attack, at least for now. Kier is seeing this kind of giant running past him is not sure how effective it's going to be, but as he's passing by, is stabbing out kind of probably like the back of its knee with his rapier.
He's a fighter, right?
Cut purse.
Cut purse rogue. Okay, word. Um, so yeah,
No sneak attack.
that attack is going to just kind of glance off of kind of this like patchwork leather armor that this thing is kind of coated with. It's probably more like patchwork furs.
Yeah, and I think Kier is going to move, trying to get around the other side here.
He is going to swing out and get a. Oh, my bad. Are you moving? Gotcha. Yeah, you're staying in with it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, kind of like circling around Brannick and then around Dizon onto the other side, but not moving out of melee range, I don't think. And I think that's it for Brannick and Kier.
Anything from Dazan.
Oh, sorry. I didn't think I was controlling him as well.
I mean, effectively, he's just a cantrip pool right now, unless you choose to use his utility.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I guess the cantrips don't count against his spell limits, right?
Yep, they're still at will.
Yeah, so I think in that case, Dazan also not looking too comfortable standing right by the giant, but given the proximity, he's going to reach out and attempt to. You'll see like kind of like a bolt of electricity shooting through him towards his arm as he reaches out to try to um, grab the giant with a shocking grasp.
Gotcha. So that's kind of a weird one. Shocking Grasp is a spell attack? I feel like that can't have disadvantage for being in melee. Yeah, because it's not a range attack. It's a spell attack as you're reaching for it. It is not wearing metal armor, but you still got the crit on the initial, so that is going to do the 15 lightning as he kind of reaches out and like shocks into this thing's Achilles tendon. And that should take us back around to Lu Jianbao.
I think actually, as he does that, Dazan probably wouldn't know that. Never mind.
What are you thinking?
Well, thinking Dazan might try to put a little distance, given that mechanically it loses its reaction, right?
I don't think there's
Um,
any reason that he would not know that.
Okay, so maybe he might. Yeah, he would just kind of
He's
back up.
basically watching it as its muscles are kind of taken over as this thing is convulsing. So yeah, I think his survival instinct is probably the one thing that makes him not your friend, in that of everything he wants to make sure he lives through anything that might happen here.
Yeah, I definitely plan on playing him as a coward in combat. So, but yeah, he'll try to use that to kind of back away. And now I think that's it.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to make him a coward, but he definitely is not going to be brave to a fault or courageous. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a weird blend because you gave him plenty of reason to look at him as a friend, or to look at Brannick as a friend. Dazan himself was and is a very powerful wizard, but this simulacrum also recognizes the you're kind of like a little bit more forward and you looked into death's eyes, and that does change people. So maybe not a coward, but certainly not like brave and courageous.
Yeah, coward might have been too strong, but yeah, definitely not not willing. Definitely not the type to just throw his life away or be
Yeah, exactly.
brave for the
He
sake
might
of being brave.
he might help when everything's looking good, but the moment shit hits the fan, he certainly might turn into a coward to be the first one to run. But in the long run, I think you've got a solid idea there. Lu Jianbao, what are you thinking? That's also kind of like walks that fine line of it's your NPC and it's also my NPC. So that's kind of one of those things like you're pretty much never gonna speak for Dazan, but at times you definitely get to choose like what he's casting kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I'm running up, and I'm going to attack.
Gotcha. So are you dropping the bow?
Yeah,
Gotcha. So yeah, that attack will miss. If I understand correctly, though, that does still give you your bonus where you now have 18 AC this turn. I think you
I was doing it individually because I wanted to see whether it was going to hit before I was going to apply Death Strike or not. So I still have unarmed attack.
well, no, but my point is the thing that you have that gives you that +2 AC. I'm pretty sure if you make a melee attack with your Kensi weapon, you gain +2 AC. It doesn't have to hit. So the moment
No,
you do that, your AC is up for this whole turn cycle.
no, I have to make an unarmed strike as part of.
Okay, with a Kensi weapon in hand, you have to
Right,
make an unarmed strike. I got
right.
you. So
Which is
yeah, that
why
attack is a miss there.
I can't do two sword attacks and activate it. I have to do one sword, one unarmed. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
because it cannot be from your bonus action.
Correct. So there's my unarmed strike.
Solid hit.
Um, and I'm going to do stunning strike on that. DC 15 Constitution save.
Did you increase your DC? I've got you as a 14. I just want to change that. Yeah, he doesn't even like uh look for a moment, as if it sticks to him.
So
I lost you after so I.
I'm going to activate Flurry of Blows. Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, I've still got you as a DC 14 when I loaded up your character sheet
Yeah, that's my bad.
for Sinister.
Yeah, you got it.
Flurry is a
It-
solid hit there.
and there's one more. Uh,
and that one is going to miss.
I'm going to try to use stunning strike with the first flurry of blows. Another DC.
Gotcha. Yeah, normally just do the stunning strike like after that hit. And with that one, he is going to freeze. Um, yeah, your second one can hit, but normally you have to choose to do the stunning strike after you hit before you roll anything else. Like, it's kind of tough because that 11-22 becomes a hit because you've stunned him. But if that was like a crit where there's a 22 there, it makes it even more useful. And
I got you.
I'll
I
let
got
you
you.
get that hit, but you have to make sure to do those in the right order.
I understood.
Um, So yeah, you grab this first attack, punching with will miss with your sword. Second attack, solid strike with your fists, and then these two little taps from your kicks. Each of those are going to press solidly into the frost giant. As the second of those strikes is going to freeze his body, as you kind of clip, kind of like the tendons out of his leg, and he pauses. It's going to go to Brennick.
All right, so Brannick, as he sees the giant kind of moving more sluggishly, takes the opportunity to back away. The four
Oh
of
my
them.
bad. That's actually a psych out. It does go um to the artificer. And for what it's worth, I think we'll let you. You can still make the normal attack. You just can't use either of the sidekick, like either of the special bonuses. Maybe I feel like that might be a way to let the artificer still be useful.
Okay. Is that
Because an
a
artificer should have cantrips, like for spells. I think it's just like a melee attack, basically.
okay?
That's part of what I mean. Like that thing is somebody's creation. It doesn't mean that they have any clue like what makes a good. Yeah, so solid hit for 6 damage. And then my bad, then it will go to Brennick there.
Yeah, so Brannick, you'll see him and his kind of illusory duplicates beat a hasty moving back a bit, and then he's going to uh, cast out, kind of throwing out his hand again, um, and like the illusions too. But you'll see one kind of fiery bolt seem to kind of coalesce and shoot off towards the giant as he casts a firebolt.
Fun fact that I just want to throw out there to make sure that you recognize that this is an option. You are welcome to firebolt it. I don't want to change that. Giants are really tall, so you can also fireball above its head, so you can't hurt any of your friends. Not necessarily an option when something is the same size as you all, but because this is actually 2 sizes larger. Just wanted to make sure you remembered the verticality of this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not
I'll keep
trying
that in
to
mind.
necessarily influence it, obviously. A firebolt is certainly still effective, but you have, damn, I think it's still advantage, yeah, because it's not prone. It's stunned. So yeah, you have advantage on that attack with the firebolt. Solid hit for 7 damage. That is
Um,
horrendous. Yep, a 6 and a 1. That will be the first shot where you see the kind of burns from the fire. It's all happening at the same time. The giant is bloodied.
and Kier is essentially basically trying the same thing, kind of trying to put a little more force into his blade to try to pierce the armor or find some non-protected part. Nope.
That classic cut purse with the or the classic thief with the wrong short sword. And then what would Dazan like to do?
So Dazan is, even though he sees the giant kind of seizing up, has no real thought of getting too close again. So he is going to attempt to kind of throwing out his hands, cast an acid splash, kind of up near like the giant's chest.
Acid Splash is a saving throw.
No ranged spell attack.
Gotcha. So he'll have advantage with that. And that's a big ol' miss.
Oh, I think there's a deck save for creatures within 5 feet of it. Maybe that's where it comes in. But I was thinking like he would cast it
Yeah,
high
but
enough.
you can target that one. You can target one creature, or you can target two creatures. I'm pretty sure Acid Splash specifically references that it's a choice. Yeah, choose one or two creatures that you can see within range. Yeah, so he doesn't risk hitting everybody else. But that should go back around to Lu Jianbao then, unless you wanted to move at all with Dazan there.
No, I don't think he's.
Oh yeah, that is a deck save though. I don't know why I've got that set as Acid Splash is a deck save. It's not a spell attack. I don't know why I put it on there so you have to roll. Like I think when he's stunned, he automatically fails, so he will take that 10 damage.
That is correct.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, I'll try and keep that. I'll kind of try and remember that for the
I
future
can
with
edit it
acid
real
splash.
quick and change that too.
So who is gonna do the melee? Still advantage, so I'm gonna apply Death Strike to that. I don't know why it's
What's your
not
martial
rolling.
art die right now? Is
D8,
D6? D8?
D8. Yeah. Oh
Gotcha.
wait. No, you're right. It's a D6, I think.
Gotcha. So
Hold
you're
on.
doing um 10 plus a D6 here? Yeah, Justin, there's no way to remove that how I have it set up as an action. It kind of has to show that. Um, as far as things work in my brain, when it says Dex 13, that tells me it's a dexterity save.
Yeah, I see the Dex 13 save in the on the character sheet. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but there's no way to actually remove that it like has the +0 to attack. But that's part of how I'm trying to show that. So yeah, 12 damage, and then the unarmed strike will also hit.
And I'm gonna do another flurry of blows. And that'll be it for me. My artificer friend will get in her hit.
Solid.
And that's us. How's he looking after that round?
He is bloodied. Part of the advantage to doing bloodied and mortally wounded is that you can see generally how many hit points that they have by what you do, and then what you do between bloodied and mortally wounded. Part of the disadvantage of it is a creature with a shitload of hit points. There's just a lot of movement.
Brannick's looking nervously toward where the giant left his mammoth.
I think the giant is going to step out of combat, and it is going to run away from you all. Nobody wants to attack of opportunity as it runs?
I was gonna say, like, I think Kier would not recognize that it's running, and I think he would try to press an attack. So he will attack as it flees.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to get a shot in.
When I say it is moving away from you, attack. Ask to attack. Do something. React. Otherwise, when I pause like that, the thing's going to get away.
Gotcha.
So as it begins to flee, in the last couple of hits to it, the giant is going to stumble to the ground, and with a loud thump and the ground shaking, it is going to fall motionless to the ground.
Brannick would. Oh, sorry. Are we still in initiative? Oh,
There's no general reason for you to be in initiative.
okay. So Brannick would kind of be seeing the giant fall, be moving kind of tentatively towards it, and he would be try to ascertain, I guess, whether it's dead. Is it still breathing?
To what end?
Uh, just
Do you want
because
to
I
finish it? Do you want to save it? Are you worried that it's going to get up?
I think I guess Brannick is just worried that maybe it's it can still do a lot of damage if it gets
Then
back up
slit
at
its
some
throat.
point. Yeah, Brannick will kind of point to gesture to Kier, and Kier will do so.
In general, like, my creatures don't have death saving throws. Unless you guys want to knock something out to try to speak to it, it's always going to die. If you're worried something is going to stand back up, kill it.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, were you gonna say something, Don?
Just that that didn't go too bad. And I guess the artificer would start to repair the defender.
yeah, it takes the artificer about the night to do. I think some level of the lost metal can be harvested from the actual axe of the frost giant to kind of make up for the destruction.
And,
Go for the
go ahead, Don.
check
You wanted to check?
the body.
Roll a perception check. And roll a investigation. And roll a D100. Searching over this creature, you are able to find its great axe, again, which your artificer will need to finish the construction of the steel defender. It wears plenty of hides that you all could harvest to add a little bit more warmth to things, perhaps gaining a little bit of coin in town. Most of them perhaps are not going to fetch a lot of value, but they certainly do still have fur quality to them. Among the search, you are going to be able to find um, 180 silver pieces on it. And yeah.
And how
I thought like how twice.
yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Is the mammoth still around, or
To what end?
just threat level? I guess not.
No. I was
Uh,
worried losing people that I was going to kill you all with the two of them. So we got rid of the mammoth.
yeah, yeah. I guess then we'll make our way to find camp. What do you think, Brannick?
Agreed. Yeah.
I can't remember what part of the day or what part of the eternal night was this.
I believe yours was the first watch, so I think it's
Yeah, if I recall correctly, you all were early in the watch there. My bad. There also would have been 60 gold pieces on the giant as well.
Shinbao, I guess we'll just, you want to split those down the middle between the two of us?
Yeah. So 30 gold and what was it? How many silver?
It should be 90 a piece, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, 180 total.
Ooh, okay. I guess we'll try to set up camp again.
Yeah, so in general, returning to camp is not going to take you all any effort. You are still at your camp, so there's nothing really left to set up.
Uh,
So
got destroyed.
Yeah, maybe almost use the kind of like try and use the giant's body as like camouflage from the other side, like kind of camping behind its corpse. Like kind of back in that back kind of where we were, like underneath that overhang.
I don't think that's going to hurt your case in the least bit. I don't know how much you all would be able to move said giant, but where it is, it's certainly there.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of thinking like, yeah, kind of. I agree. I don't think we'd be able to move it, but maybe kind of use it. Maybe almost move or down, kind of south of it a little bit, and yeah. Um, Jinbao, you still good for the first watch? Brannick will offer to take the second.
I don't know if it's first watch that's cursed or if it's you and me. I guess I'll sure, why not? During every first watch.
Yeah, so you all can go through the process of sleeping this evening away. As things kind of go on, you are going to be able to finish your rest and pick up with the next day of traveling.
Brannick wakes up. First thing he does is cast a mage armor on himself, and turning towards Jinbao, see continue south, see what we can see of this. I don't know if we'll reach the fortress today, but
Yes, onward.
Let me get a round of survivals from the two of you. So as you all continue down into the south of Icewind Dale, uh, probably getting around maybe a couple of miles south of where like Dugan's Hole is along the Caravans Trail. Um, Let me have you all roll perceptions here. So, you're going to start to experience as the winds pick up, as ice and snow picks up until eventually you all are pretty fully into a blizzard. What sort of thoughts do you all have as your travel is not necessarily waylaid by a blizzard, but things start to get difficult in the presence of a blizzard?
Brannick will suggest they maybe hunker down, try to wait it out for. Let's see if maybe it passes after a couple hours. Given we're in unfamiliar territory.
He would agree. Neither of us are strong survivalists, so err on the side of hunker down.
Guess Brannick would kind of within their immediate vicinity look around to see if there's any sort of kind of like natural shelter, like an overhang or something. If not, suggest that they kind of use the snow and just sort of as they've done in the past, just try and essentially kind of like burrow in.
Make an investigation. And my bad, that would be a perception.
So subtract 6 from that.
Gotcha. So while you are looking around, Brennick, you are going to have a solid bit of difficulty finding anything that is going to be shelter in this area here. You know that you all are still a ways off from as you start to get into the trees that are kind of like the southern wall of Icewind Dale as you start to approach the actual spine of the world. But in the process of kind of separating off and everybody starting to look, let me have each of you roll a d20.
So we're kind of down in this area here.
It's kind of like right where the little map thing, the little parchment is there. So I have you guys at the center of this map, a little bit separated off as you are trying to look for um, a place to hunker down here. Let me have you roll initiative, please. So while you are searching Illusion Bow, you are going to hear in the wind the voice of Arl. This is the doom that awaits you all. This is the fate of any who dare to claim what is mine. Behold the final lights. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. And actually have all three of your characters roll a Constitution saving throw, please. Oh, my bad. This is for now. This is just I think this is just going to be Lucian Bao's characters.
Oh, misunderstood. Sorry.
Uli is actually going to be good, so it's really just on that first one. Bam, and 1, 2, 4. Yeah, Brennick separated off there as well. So Brennick, you're just going to see as there is a spark of light in the blizzard. You're going to hear the same utterance of Oral's voice over the wind, and Lu Jianbao as well as the Steel Defender are going to be blinded by this light. And then Lu Jianbao is going to get attacked twice. So the first one is going to hit, and it is going to do 8 bludgeoning damage to you, and 18 cold damage to you. And then the second attack, with a 15 to hit, I believe that's going to miss. Lu Jianbao, you are surprised. You will get a reaction at the end of this turn. It will go to Holy Surprise gets the reaction, Dog Surprise gets the reaction, all the way back around to Brennick. You can act normally.
Okay. Can I see Jin Bao at this, given how the distance and the blizzard conditions? Like, am I aware that he's come under attack?
The voice of Oral and that flash of light is enough that I would say you are aware shit's going down. I would say you do not necessarily understand what is going down. You will need to close this distance before you have unimpeded ability to see the Cold Light Walker. But that thing is a beacon of light. These are those creatures that they are walking humanoids, and their bodies glow like the sun. They don't have flesh like normal people. You guys have only run from these things, and this one is basically being summoned by Oral at the feet of Bren, or at the feet of Lucian Bao.
Okay, yeah. So Brannick is kind of seeing the light is going to start moving back towards Jin Bao's. Like, what do you see? Um, and kind of like peering off into the distance beyond him, trying to as he's moving towards him.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Like, you can see the light more than anything. So when you move close enough to him, you can surely see that creature.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So as he sees the image, um, he's going to, yeah, I think he's going to reach out and try to blast it with a firebolt.
Yeah, I'd say in general with this blizzard, you're looking at like 15, 16 feet of visibility. Solid hit with the firebolt.
Um, and then Kier is kind of at the same time as him, moving in the same direction. Moving up beside Jin Bao, and if the creature is within reach, he will try and stab at it. Not really sure how effective it'll be, but that's all he can do.
Wait, do you see where the Cold Light Walker is? Where the walker is?
No, so I don't see anything on the map.
The map is a pretty simple map. Like, what do you see right now?
So I can see our tokens.
The six of them?
I sorry, I saw the token above Jin Bao, but
Gotcha. Yep, so
missed
that's
that it
it, is
was the
standing
enemy.
right over him.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so he would be going in this direction, and same thing, stab. I just have to bring up his sheet again real quick.
Striking out at it, this creature is going to be able to sidestep the attack, and will be missed.
And then I think Dizan is kind of doesn't want to be left behind, so he's moving towards them, not getting quite as. I guess he'll have to get a little bit closer to be able to actually kind of make it out as he's coming this way. And then
Yeah, I'd say
he
that's where
will,
he can see.
yeah, and then he will kind of reach out and cast an acid splash at it.
And the same thing here, where it is going to be able to sidestep, and that little ball of acid is just going to fly beyond.
And that's their turn.
So looking to design, it is going to kind of like stand up just a little bit taller and a little bit more erect as its head kind of swivels to the side to stare down Dazan, and the light is going to flash over Dazan. Let me get a Constitution saving throw from him. And then the beam is just going to kind of focus in tight. And the first beam is going to crit off of Dazan. And this is going to do 49 cold damage to Dazan.
He goes down.
And then a second beam. Oh, damn. And it's gonna go. He's blind and prone. I don't think you can get the bonus from blind. While he's unconscious. That's really weird. I think this is just gonna be disadvantaged. And the second beam of light is going to miss Dazan as it tries to strike down into him. And then it will go to Lu Jianbao as the light kind of comes back. You're kind of seeing halos, and as the halos kind of solidify, you're just going to see that there is a humanoid standing in front of you, as it has this very like centered beam of light that is flashing out to the west of you.
Uh, does he dodge out of the way?
You can, yep, that first hit will be a solid strike. If you don't say anything, I'm usually looking at other screens, so
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. 21 hits.
yep, it's a solid hit.
So I'm gonna add the death strike to that. Then the unarmed strike. 14 will miss, I assume.
Solid hit.
Or an additional 9. Bonus action, unarmed strike. And I'm going to apply stunning strike to that one.
It does not seem affected as it continues to move.
And that is my turn. Steel defender with their armored defender or whatever will move up and try to attack. Actually, I'm going to have it administer healing to Lu Jianbao. Oh, wait, that's not how it works. Oh, no, it does. So it'd be 44 plus 4 to Lu Jianbao. And that'll be it.
And then on to Brennick.
Brennick, seeing Dazan just kind of dropped by this thing of light, it's gonna like let out a uh, let out a cry of uh, more consternation than I guess like sadness, but um, he's going to seeing this, I guess, move to. It doesn't gonna move kind of in front of him, and he's going to um, kind of splaying out his hands a little bit towards the north to angle the attack to miss Kier and Jinbao. He's going to splay out his hands and cast a third level burning hands towards the at the creature.
Gotcha. Was that going off of design? Did I ever have you roll hit points for him, or was that going off of the kind of average?
Oh, I was going by the character sheet has him at 41, which I guess is the average of 98 plus 9. I don't think I ever rolled for him.
Let me have you roll 98. And what did I do to him? I think regardless, it's going to hit with the next one, even if he still stood.
It was 40 something, 49, I think.
Yeah,
No, 46.
Simulacrums melt. I think that's what you just rolled to. Simulacrums melt and die. He is gone, instantly destroyed.
Okay. I think that wouldn't really affect what Brannick is doing because he wouldn't know that until he got close enough. But
Yeah, that's more me actually like looking to see, because again, Simulacrum's a pretty high level spell. Normally, I
yeah,
prepare spells when I see people actually preparing them. But yeah, my bad. Getting a little distracted there. Dexterity save. You are going to get a solid connection with this cone. And 24. Yeah, certainly going to start to singe away plenty of its clothing, and this creature is going to be in the bloodied state. It is not bleeding.
right. And as Brannick is doing that, Kier kind of like pauses as the fire goes out, blasts out from Brannick. But as it kind of dissipates, he moves up to interpose and stabs out at the creature as the kind of blast of the flames are licking at its outline.
Standing in the laser beam. Solid strike. Does it's his like daily that has the sneak attack, right? For a cut purse. This is the first time you've hit with him today, though, if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, you
I'll
might have to choose that right off the bat, though. That kind of depends how it's worded for him. I feel like the cut purse is one of the rogues are kind of interesting as followers.
Yeah, he's got the low blow. It
I
doesn't
feel like that's it.
say. Yeah, it doesn't say
It's
when
like
to do it, but
3d6 or something.
no, it's actually to cause the target to fall prone and have disadvantage on its attacks until the end of its next turn. And then
Oh,
uh,
gotcha.
he's got a flash powder one to like a blinding thing. I don't think he has like a sneak attack one.
Yeah, definitely a weird little twist on them. I wonder if that means we should give him 2 attacks, but we'll have to kind of decide that over time if he feels less than effective. But a solid hit from him there, dealing another 8 damage.
And I think he doesn't know if that beam can pass through him, but essentially he's trying to kind of interpose, so he'll stay there.
Let me get a Constitution saving throw from Kier. As it's kind of like pulls him in and stares into him with the light. Kier is going to be blinded here. And it is going to, I think, just strike with its other hand twice into him. So the first attack is going to crit. Yeah, I don't know if Kier can live through this. That alone on this first attack is going to be, it's doing a total of 12 damage dice. So what is it? It's the average damage is the saving throw. But like 2d8 plus, it can't be the same. Maybe each hit is one die. So yeah, I think that works better that way. So um the first attack, the first hit is going to be DC 12 Constitution saving throw. And then the second one is going to be a DC 16 saving throw.
All right, he's got.
Wait, no, my bad. Those were crits too, so it's actually worse. I feel like it's going to send both of those into the 20s, so I think it's just an auto failed. Oh man, it's so hard to make. They don't really fit in this idea of stuff that does multiple hit dice. Because I feel like it's a save per hit dice.
Yeah, and he's got no modifier to con, so it's above 20. It's an auto fail.
Yeah, that's such a weird. Because this thing does 6 hit dice on the normal. It's 12 hit dice when it crits. If it did. All right, let's take a quick break here and let me actually try to make a decision, because this is honestly the decision whether Kier is about to get insta killed or not. I think that's kind of how it's gonna boil down here.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I think you crit on Dazan too.
I think so. I think both of these last ones were crits. The like blind attack definitely makes it easier. Yeah, because you're basically going from it gives them like that advantage by blinding them.
Yep. Yep. Well, it's a dangerous place, so if Kier dies, he dies.
Well, that's also part of why I like having the sidekicks, because I'm rolling with a bunch of extra targets for shit that is super dangerous.
Yeah, better him than us for sure.
Because I mean, it's the same type of thing as like the one hit from that, from the frost giant. The thing does 3d12 of damage. It's insane how much damage that guy can do.
Yeah, he could have dropped any one of us easily. Maybe not easily, but definitely possibly. All right, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back.
Me too.
I like the image of Dasan like coming over. Is like, what's going on? And then just boom, vaporized or melted, as the case may be.
Kind of a bummer, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Brannick's second guessing his decision to go through with things now, but um, that's the risk.
What are you second guessing?
Oh no, not me. Brannick is second guessing, going through the whole ritual now that Dazan is a puddle. But I still would have done it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that perhaps I won't still give you like access to his consciousness though. So we'll see how it kind of plays out here. I didn't really spend as much time thinking about it as I wanted to, but part of what I was trying to actually decide was what level of alive is he versus still a simulacrum, because he's somewhere in between three different kind of states of existence, and obviously this is all kind of homebrewed. So I have a feeling the most likely state, might even put it to a die roll, but I have a feeling the most likely state is to basically link his consciousness to yours. I think the least likely state is to um, have him disappear entirely. Um, but that was part of where I do wish I actually spent the time to decide whether he was actually alive or what. But like I said, I didn't really get to that.
Yeah, well, I'm good with whatever the final decision ends up being. And if we want to put it to a die roll, I'm good with that too.
Yeah, so it'll kind of just push it off and effectively make it as least likely to have to do something that is like going backward on what's happened. That's part of why, like, because of how things played out, we have to kind of move forward with him as a simulacrum instead of possibly having the alternatives, before the milk before the cow. I feel like there's a saying about that. As far as things go for the followers' saving throws, it is that they save based on the average damage. The average damage on a crit for each of these is going to send it over 20, so it becomes impossible for him to save. And then they lose hit dice based on the number of hit dice done. He has 5. The first attack's going to deal 6, and then the second attack, um, what is it, with a 16 will still hit auto crits. That's going to kill Kier.
Braddock is not having much luck with his sidekicks, but yeah. Kier's last thought as he goes is he should have stayed on the boat with Helka or the other crew, but
But you saw some cool things between now and then.
yep, indeed he did.
And then with that is going to get back around to Illusion Bow. Solid hit.
I'm going to apply Death Strike to that. Stunning Strike to that one.
Another solid. It is continuing to move without any slowing.
I will do flurry of blows again.
Solid hit on the first one, the second one as well.
That's it for me.
Before you necessarily use that, the last strikes from Lu Bao are going to open up this creature's mortally wounded.
You got a DC 15 strength.
So roll the initial attack, and then roll those 2d6 as well. Because again, normally with strike is one that comes after the armor defender already attacked.
Okay. You said 2d6?
Oh, maybe that's how the steel defender is meant to attack, is with strike is one. So maybe that other attack is meant to be the under armor defenders, and that way you don't have to bend anything to have the armor defender attack without its pet. But yeah, those attacks there. Yeah, the 2d6. You need to get a 3 on 2d6 to kill it. You tried, and you succeeded.
Barely.
Oh, shit, I forgot to describe. When Dazan died, he would have actually turned into a gigantic block of ice. When Kier died, also instantly froze into a gigantic block of ice. Brennick, you are between two pillars of ice right now. And the cold light walker, as it dies, is just going to dissipate into the blizzard and disappear.
So Brennick kind of looking around at these two sudden frozen statues, and kind of like, he's like tapping on the Dazan statue. Um, you know, uh, but doesn't.
Kind of
He
a
kind of.
weird blend of two things. Maybe Dazan looks like a snowman inside of it. It's kind of a weird one.
Yeah, like a simulacrum of ice within a bigger like thing of ice. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's almost like glacial blue ice that has surrounded him. And then inside of it, you can almost see like this pale, like snow version of Dazan.
This isn't going to be happy if he hears about this. And then he's just kind of looking at, then look at like kind of the Kier statue and just kind of shake his head. Doesn't really seem to care too much about Kier. But he's going to like look towards Lu Bao. Do you think that's all she'll throw at us? And he's almost like kind of like listening to see if he hears like the voice anymore that had called out before of Oral's voice.
Make a wisdom saving throw. Roll a d100. So I'm going to say yes. You indeed still do hear the voice of Oral on the wind. As far as things go, I would like you to deal with the fact that for the next roll a d10. For the next 4 minutes, you have temporary madness, and you are effectively babbling and incapable of normal speech or spellcasting for the next 4 minutes.
Okay.
Just a moment of, yeah, Oral is definitely reaching out. And it is a perfect time for Brennick to kind of crack a little bit. Maybe we should have gone after the bitch.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Brennick is like. Sorry, go ahead.
overall, that's such a negligible amount of time. That's short-term madness. It's 4 minutes. It's like the initial time of like trying to just get your adrenaline back into control. So as far as things go, it's not much time at all.
Yeah, he's like kind of like he's like muttering to himself and kind of like shaking his head and looking around at it. It might be like difficult for like the others. Like maybe they think like seeing two companions die, maybe that's what caused it. But like he can't really explain himself for those 4 minutes. So again, he's just kind of babbling and you know almost like something kind of like broke within him for that time.
Well, losing Bell hurt her also, right? Before the thing attacked.
Yeah. If you want, you can do the same thing, like make a wisdom saving throw if you're still hearing her on the wind. Um, Me personally, that's one of those things. If you ask the right question, certain things will happen. And I liked that Justin was trying to see, like, do I still hear her? The fact that Brennick was listening made him susceptible. It's like
Yeah.
the power of his own suggestion, basically, is why he's cracking here. Which is quite literal, whether it's we're calling it Justin's suggestion or Brennick's, because that's the power of your own suggestion. So as you all kind of like pick up and eventually Brennick kind of returns to a normal consciousness, um, and you more or less kind of pick up with your day here. The blizzard's going to last probably about another hour or so before things kind of clear up, and you're maybe like midway through this cycle of the aurora and start to consider the viability of moving on through the day.
We are in effect taking a.
If you would like to stop and take a short rest, you are more than welcome to. Let me have you each roll a d4. You guys can take a short rest here.
So Brannico's going to use his arcane recovery to recover that third level spell slot. I feel like Brannick is also almost like trying to figure out like if he can somehow like lug the frozen kind of popsicle that is Dazan with him, but not really sure to what end. But eventually he'll just they'll decide it's not feasible.
Yeah, I think depending how much effort you put into it, you'll also notice that it doesn't actually seem to be affected by fire in the least bit.
Okay, yeah, like when at first I thought like he had like gone into a puddle, Brennick was thinking like, okay, maybe I'll just like I don't know, use a water flask or something and try to, you know, but frozen like that, and he might, yeah, he might try to like kind of like singe like some of the outer layers to almost to try to get to the thing, but when it seems to not be working, he would just kind of give up.
Do you have an idea in mind for another sidekick?
So I think enough time has passed now that the person who had sent Stavros would have discovered his unfortunate end and have sent someone else up after Brannick in the same kind of light. And maybe it's taken him this long to catch word of them, and he's been but then maybe he saw them passing by Dugan's Hole or something, or figured out where they left from Bryn Shander, and now he's moving to track him down. So it would essentially be the uh, same thing as Stavros was. I'll come up with a different name for the new guy, but same general idea.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have anything saved from Stavros anyway, so um but I am gonna drag that guy down. He's showing up right now just as the Luzoso Abra. And what was that? That was a fighter?
Yeah, I think whatever the Battle Master sidekick thing is, I forget what exactly it was called.
Gotcha. Let's see, what notes program do I have them hidden under? I feel like it's the Sword Master. Just gonna drop the picture of it into Discord. So you have a reference sheet at present. So he would be level 5 right now, which I think gives you access to the first two of those skills. Yep. The Gaping Wound as well as Challenge. Alrighty, so when you all pick up and you continue on with your day, let me have the two of you roll survivals. And then let me get perceptions from you.
Oops, subtract one from that.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I was trying to find a token real quick.
So while you all are traveling on, I believe this is now the second day out from Bryn Shindar. You are passing like into that kind of forested area, starting to see some of the initial foothills kind of climbing off into the distance. And after probably most of the day goes through, you're expecting kind of at any time here to have the light of the aurora kind of disappear, to where the moon's rise is kind of in anticipation, and you'll have a little bit more clear white light through the evening thereafter. There's going to be a point where in the trees off to the course, off to the east of you, you're going to see a large antlered creature and a little owl that seems to be sitting on top of the antler, probably about like 89 or so feet away from you all.
You said it had antlers. What kind of animal does it appear to be?
It's like a deer-like creature, like an antlered quadruped, and it has an owl sitting on top of its antlers.
Lucian Bell will try to approach slowly.
What is Brennick thinking?
Yeah, so Brennick is kind of eyeing these two creatures. Not really sure what to make of it. He will kind of follow Jinbao's lead. Um, yeah, kind of like cautiously approaching. Does the never mind.
So let's see. Let's go for. Oh, what a tricky bastard! Showing me premium assets for the owl. I don't have an owl dropped on it yet, but you all can take a look at this map and decide what kind of marching order as you approach. You're pretty much at that map's edge right now. I probably shouldn't have you dragged off of it, but I think that's a pretty solid representation of the elk is kind of southeast of you, and you all are kind of central north.
Yes, I feel like Brannick would probably be a bit behind Jinbao. He's still a little shell shocked from the encounter with the other creature, and um, he's kind of following Jinbao's lead. So I think he would be probably falling behind, but close, probably within 5 feet.
Does it just look like an usual animal? Kind of unusual to see an owl perched in willingly and Jimbo would turn to Brannick and say, a little unusual to see an owl perched on the antlers of an elk, don't you think?
I admit my knowledge of wildlife is somewhat limited, but seem a bit odd, though perhaps I'm just being jumpy. I suggest perhaps we approach a bit cautiously, uh, see whether it looks dangerous or not. And he'll kind of gesture for Jinbao to lead, and he'll follow behind.
I'll just move one square and see if anything happens.
The ice beneath your feet crumbles, and into a void you fall 10,000 feet to your death. Squares don't exist. If you step forward, nothing happens, because you're still approximately 100 feet away from these creatures, and they don't really give a fuck.
So, yeah, just try to keep approaching slowly.
As you all continue to approach, you are going to hear a voice on the wind. This land is not yours. Return from whence you came, before the Queen of Night takes you.
As Brannick hears that kind of voice on the wind, he's going to kind of like stiffen up, and he's thinking of the tales they've heard of the moose in Lonelywood, and other, the wolves near Dugan's Hole, and other creatures acting strangely. And he's thinking, maybe these things are somehow, uh, you know, it, they could be like under Oral's sway, or she's using them to, um, as spies or scouts or something. Um, as he like hears the voice on the wind, do the creatures appear to be kind of like looking like at them? Like
Roll a
he can.
perception check. The elk seems to be looking at you. And in what feels like the same kind of moment as the voice starts, you see as the owl kind of like takes the flight and seems to fly off into a tree.
Brannick's gonna kind of look towards Jin Bao, and yeah, barely escaped that last one. Who knows what else Oral can throw at us?
I don't think retreat is an option. We came out here to do a job. hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Brunig's gonna like kind of move up beside Jinbao, looking towards, still kind of looking towards the elk or um, the creature. Our immediate quarrel is not with your queen. We have business south. He kind of feels a little funny talking out loud to an animal, but he's gonna kind of, almost say it like out into the wind.
Make a persuasion. Going to see as the moose kind of like looks at you and kind of tilts its head a little bit to one side and then to your left. And it's going to kind of look to you again. And you'll start to see as its lips move. All of these lands are hers. You do not belong. Return to where you have already destroyed nature.
And does Oral wish this land to come under the Duergar's sway? Then do they belong to her? They have they have encroached on these lands as well, from what we hear. And as he's saying this, he's kind of trying to puzzle out what the creature means. It's not coming to him immediately, but he's trying to kind of make sense of the instruction, I guess, for lack of a better word.
They are just as unnatural in this land as you. Their actions are not unseen. Their death will follow, as all mortals will.
Brian's going to kind of look to Jinbao with almost like a tiny little shrug, kind of like, what now?
My bad. I was looking for a specific name as well with that. At one point, it's going to also respond. The machinations of Asmodeus are not unknown to Oral. And then that's where like it would kind of finish with their death will follow, as all mortals will.
Uh, Sorry, Brennan kind of he does that in his head, not out loud.
Yeah, you're good. Theoretically, I think this is the first time you guys would have heard of Asmodeus. I'm not entirely sure that I shared the name when um Valixis was talking to Copper. No, he did not go to Copper. But the other one, the other cleric, when he was asking about Levistus. But for what it is worth, if the two of you want to do religion checks right now, or
Oh,
history for Brennick.
okay, yeah, sorry, that was me unintentionally metagaming a little bit.
Yeah, so Brennick would not be unaware that perhaps even after like researching Levistus, it would not be unaware to Brennick that Asmodeus is the Lord of the Hells. And Levistus is being punished in his glacier of ice for trying to betray Asmodeus. That's part of why I was saying earlier, like, not all random encounters are completely without like part of the storyline, but what that actually means that a moose is telling you right now, who actually knows, um, you guys definitely know that you are in a spider web of agents, though.
Yeah, Brannick is like he's Duergar, sort of a darker master than we suspected. If he's putting the pieces together the right way, which of course isn't guaranteed. He's going to kind of looking towards Jinbao. I assume that by returning to where nature's already been destroyed means the city.
You're going to hear another voice from the east of you. Turn to where the trees have died. And as you kind of like hear this sound, you're going to hear like the cracking of branches as, despite the wind kind of being there and also kind of blocked, one tree in particular is not like blowing in the same wind as all of the others.
Brannick will kind of he's going to move to step back a few feet, and he's going to kind of looking again towards Jinbao. Is like I think trying to press on here maybe beyond us at the moment.
Shimbao will follow suit and move back. Uh, does he notice anything about the tree that doesn't move like the other ones?
What do you mean? That it doesn't move like the other ones? Yes, you notice that. What are you looking for?
Perhaps you're right, Brannick.
So as you all start to move back some, the moose is going to kind of move forward. And after a few moments, you'll see that the owl kind of flies to a different tree as well. Shit, did I just hide the moose on the map layer? Let's see as the owl kind of flies forward.
I think as soon started moving up, we would move back.
Let me get a perception check from you all. So as you're kind of backing away and kind of retreating back along this route, you're going to see as what appears to be some of the trees are going to move across the trail that you were following, and kind of like almost block it as if this copse of trees is kind of walking to hide the trail ahead of you. And then after a few moments, Lu Jianbao, you are going to notice as the owl kind of like drops out of its form and seems to turn into a human pretty much as you all lose sight inside of the wind and the snow.
Rennick, I could swear, before I lost sight of the owl, it appeared to turn into a man. I guess retreat isn't going to be an option.
Technically, you guys are like off this map at that point. Like they just kind of like blocked off the way ahead of you.
Jimbao would turn to Brannick and, where do you know where the trees have died?
Um, Sorry, Mara. Quick question: when you say the trees have blocked the way ahead of us, does that mean ahead of us if we were still
South.
going south?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I
Effectively, it shouldn't be that much of a riddle for you guys to figure out that they're each kind of referring to what is unnatural, um, where you create cities, and where trees have died, where people burn trees for heat, and that they are pushing you back towards 10 towns. Um, this is actually one of the reasons why people can't leave 10 towns. This is one of those signs of why it is. When you try to go, there's things that are kind of pushing you back.
Okay, see, I was thinking like if they were blocking it off north of us, maybe we're like caught in the middle of two different forces. But it makes more sense that yeah, I just misunderstood. Um, but yeah, so in that case, Brannick will he'll nod towards Shinbao and say, "Seems it's seems that retreat would be wise."
So, had we like removed your tokens, those are kind of where I had the trees moving in from, basically, to where they kind of hide that entry point, and it just kind of dissipates like that whole kind of trail moving forward, kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. And at this point, we're up north off the map. So, yep, makes sense.
But that will kind of take you all into that like dusk time of the aurora starts to dissipate, and you can start to see the rise of the moon and white light kind of being cast across Icewind Dale. And again, I've always been terrible about describing when Arl flies across the sky and casts the rhyme daily. Um, because I don't think it makes sense that she does it at night, but you would see Arl flying on a massive rock, a massive bird, um, and weaving kind of that same colorful light that makes up the aurora as this evening kind of comes. before she returns off into the distance. Rocks are pretty huge, so you guys can probably see like the dot of this thing flying. Maybe not extremely obvious, but again, it would be a regular occurrence anytime you are outside at dusk to see Arl flying on her rock.
Well, Jinbao, given the warning and what we've seen, it perhaps we ought to try and press on for Dukin's Hold would be closest. Afraid of what might catch up to us in the night if we try to camp out here.
Makes sense. We need to. We need to. I don't know. We need to strategize as if we're gonna deal. If we have to deal with the Duergar, we're gonna have to figure out some way to circumvent her watchful eye.
Might have lost you there. Was your thought there? If we're going to deal with the Durgar, we have to circumvent her watchful eye.
Yes.
All right, cool.
I don't know if that's possible or perhaps opposite. She's weaving the rhyme. Being a deity, I don't know if it's possible to circumvent.
Yes, it's difficult to know the true extent of her powers, but I agree. If we we'll need some way to, as you said, escape her gaze. But like you said as well, I've no idea how to do it. Not now.
So as far as things go, you all are welcome to question everything and kind of remake choices here. Um, but that's still just like one avenue of things ahead of you. Um, you guys were effectively still continue along the road here when you encountered them. That doesn't mean you can't go elsewhere to find your way to the Durgar. Doesn't mean that has to be a block. There's certainly levels of you recognize, like, if Oral is watching and sending things for you, that's a huge hurdle. That is a problem. But also, gods are just powerful beings. There's a big difference between gods in this reality and gods how humans in the real world pose them. These are just powerful beings. Some of them are vastly more powerful than others. And like Oral basically is a um deity that comes from a pantheon that already kind of shares the seasons. Like she is one of the seasonal deities and she has the domain of winter. So that already kind of tells you she's kind of like a middle ground deity. She doesn't even have like her own area. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like this is a death god or this is like even the gods of the nine hells. Like they have entire realms that are theirs. She just is winter.
Yeah, so like so she's not like it's not like she's omniscient. Like if we could somehow
Yeah.
disguise ourselves, or Brennick's thinking like, presumably, maybe the children of Oral have some way to identify themselves to each other. If we could figure out that and come up with some sort of disguise or something like that. Um,
Well, I think also you all have a pretty solid understanding. The children of Oral are simply just a cult. Um, Cults don't necessarily have contact with their deities. And from what you know of Oral, she doesn't really give a fuck about anybody. She is kind of a death god in that part of her aim is kind of like a solitary death in the tundra. Like freezing to death alone is very much her domain of how to kill people. Um but yeah, like this is not it's one of the weird things about when people make an atheist character in Faerun. It's like, yeah, you can literally see people like avatars of a god on any given day. You can see signs of gods acting through clerics on any given day. You can see people ascend to godhood on the worst of days. Like there's not really atheists. But in the same way, there's also not gods who say that they are all powerful, all knowing, and all seeing.
yeah, you have to like separate out like, okay, there's the fact that the gods exist, and then should those gods be worshipped, or you kind of have to separate those two out, right? So
Yeah,
yes, the
it's
gods
much closer
exist.
to Greek, to like the Greek pantheon, where like you vaguely understand that you shouldn't say fuck you to Zeus, but at the same time, if you're badass enough, you can say fuck you to Hera.
Yeah, and you could, and then, if somebody in favor and wanted to be really pedantic, they could say, well, based on my definition of what God is, gods don't exist, but they're, like you said, they're vastly powerful creatures, but that doesn't mean they're quote unquote gods. But that's just getting into, semantics and, um, yeah, which I feel like Brannick could do, like if he was in a, wizard tower or something, like, they feel like sages would have debates on the nature of godhood and all that sort of stuff, but not really.
Oh,
Um,
wizards are definitely the most likely to get powerful enough to start to broach those lines. Wizards and then like fighters and paladins, they're the ones who tend to be the people who actually rise on some, like in many ways. So, I mean, this doesn't have to be a roadblock. It is perfectly acceptable if that's where you guys see it. But you have this in mind that, like, you still have these same two problems ahead of you: Arl and then the Durgar.
right. Yeah. Yeah. But I think, yeah, I think Jinbao's point is well taken, that we should maybe essentially kind of regroup and try to figure out a strategy rather than just try to push on immediately. And then also, just like out of game, also gives us a little more time to see if hopefully get a couple more people back if they in case they have ideas.
Yeah, because Jimbo would think the only other we might be able to do is just east before we and not come from the wilderness.
Yeah, I mean we're most obvious if we take the trail. Maybe if we try to essentially push through. Yeah, could be obviously more dangerous in some ways, but might make us less likely to be spotted. I don't know.
Yeah, like head east East Haven again, and then head.
Do you all want a quick break here to make that decision on what you are doing, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind like taking 5-10 minutes.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, let's do the usual. We'll do 15 minutes. If we're all back before then, we can obviously jump back in beforehand. And obviously, anytime you guys need to talk can also delay when we jump back in, but we can kind of continue forward with that.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. I'm back.
I got two things in mind as far as design goes. Um, do a D20, and you can have, what is it, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Yeah, 16 plus. You can retain his consciousness with you, and then roll another D20, and you gain that many hit points back. You used 9. So basically, if you roll a 9 or higher, you return to 47 hit points.
Okay. Want me to do that now?
Yeah, so do the first one to see if you retain his consciousness. So yes, you will. And then another one, and this is basically you need a 9 or higher.
Nope.
You'll be at, what is it, 41 hit points. So I think your hit points rolled will increase to 23. I feel like that's a pretty legitimate, like, I don't know, not like compromise, but way of kind of dealing with it.
Yeah. I mean, I almost think of it as like so Brannick kind of gave up some of his vitality to essentially almost like give form to Dasan, and now like he's lost that form. His consciousness has somehow survived, and Brannick is able to almost kind of some of that vitality is returned to him. Obviously, um, maybe like the I don't know the trauma of Dasan being killed in that way, though, has prevented all of it from coming back. Something like that.
That's kind of precisely how I was looking at it, like where there's almost like a spark of the consciousness is still being held together, and it's a question of how much vitality remains in it and how much is kind of like lost to the actual death of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like the I like that approach. So
Uh,
now, would Brannick be aware at this point that the consciousness survived?
I'm not as clear on that versus when you're gonna start hearing voices.
Okay, I like the idea that it's going to kind of come to him as a shock, and he's going to at some point hear something like some voice in his head. To yeah,
Yeah, more or less, that's what I expected to do is kind of just share information with him more than you would necessarily have conversations with him.
right, right. I think I heard Don. You're back.
Yeah, my bad, Don. I heard you say something to the level of you were probably back before you left and rejoined.
yeah, I'm back.
So one thought I had, or Brannick had over the break. So it seems like given what our encounter with the moose and the owl and the trees, that the Duergar are not serving oral. Right, there's another player in the mix. And we know that the Dwerg, I think we know at this point that the Dwergar essentially come from underground. So, and they presumably they want to have some way of traveling around the area without necessarily coming into conflict with orals servants. Maybe we look for maybe there's some sort of like cave system or something that we can essentially try to use to if we can find like an entrance to the underground or something to try to get south without having to go overland, and maybe Oral's less likely to find us if we go underground. That was kind of the main thing that came into my head.
See, that's possible based on the report the Durgar have been operating.
'Cause we know we've seen them in multiple places now, right? So we've seen them near Koenig, near East Haven. We have, the obviously there was at least one up near Targos where they caught him. So maybe they have ways of, you know, depending on how long they've been around, maybe they have, they've excavated tunnels, or maybe they're making use of natural kind of caves and caverns under the ground. If we can, find a way and use those to our own advantage. Obviously, it'll still be dangerous, but
Yeah, because the only thing I could come up with is to
Like
yeah,
we lost you at your idea. The only thing I could come up is
ask Akelas and Brent Shander. Akelas, the magician,
asking him what?
for any advice as to how to escape the watchful eye of Oral.
Yeah, I mean, mechanically, these are just random encounters, guys. There's not a watchful eye of Oral. This whole campaign is Oral's domain. It's the same way as, like, you guys are welcome to go into the Underdark, but that is not this campaign. But I can design it. But you would definitely be going off book.
yeah. So the other option is kind of just essentially regroup, try again, maybe try and, rather than taking the trail, try and essentially sneak through the forest to get south.
Or even retracing our steps like when we were going to the Spire and then head south once we were out there.
You guys are welcome to make any decisions that you want, but the random encounters that I rolled are just encounters. Like, you can go whatever way you would like to go forward. You do not have to go 700 miles out of the way because I'm still going to roll random encounters.
Well, I guess in that case, we're going to press on towards the Durgar Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking going kind of that far out, but like, maybe like a mile or two off the trail and trying to sneak through the forest.
That sounds far more likely to be what you guys should be doing.
And I'm
Trying
just
to
kind of,
avoid that druid who was basically trying to send you backwards.
yeah. And I was thinking, I'm trying to think of like, obviously, like, so I know that, these are random encounters, but Brannick would probably think, okay, if we do want to still want to try and get south, obviously we know they're watching the way we went, but you know, if we just kind of essentially try and essentially prod for a second access point through the woods, kind of a little ways off, maybe we can get lucky.
Well, and that's always one of the weird things about the game, like playing the game versus actually having to deal with the mechanics of playing the game. I've got another group who it feels like they always want to prevent any encounter from happening. And it's like, look, if you guys don't want to play the game, we don't have to play. But like the encounters are part of this game. You can't just prevent them. So like they'll go to a place and immediately like try to like, you know, turn off all of the possibilities of stuff happening. It just doesn't work like that. Um so like you can see it as a reason for you all to go elsewhere. But it's not like you all have had difficulties everywhere these characters have gone to. That this shouldn't be any more difficult than any of those other things. So, assuming you all are just kind of taking a night's rest in this area and kind of going on watches, throughout the evening, different people on the actual watches are going to have an eerie feeling of being watched. And at different times, different people who are effectively different ones of you on the actual watch are going to feel like you see an elk, trees moving, an owl, and a goat, and a human. Like these kind of five different things at any given point are going to be among those things that seem to be watching you. um, it will give you this kind of creepy sort of a feeling. And I think part of where me telling you how to move forward with what you want to do and what you guys are kind of talking about doing in character is this idea of, yeah, try to like move as if you're going back towards Dugan's Hole, only still flank around the Red Waters and kind of come south a little bit more eastward than what you were originally planning. Because if it recalls from Bryn Shindar, you all kind of planned to more or less follow this route to look around here. So I think perhaps what happens when you guys actually encounter this, which is a cause to kind of redirect, and then having this creepy evening, that perhaps you just kind of move in a direction like that to search around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's why I'm confused. I thought that this area was the area that was marked off.
I think, what was that, the comet or meteorite or whatever?
Yeah, I thought
I think actually right now those two markings are again why I circled the general area, not that actual diamond. I think the diamond that is close to here is actually the comet. And I think the diamond that is over on the east side right now is actually I believe that one was Knowles.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think again, one of the things that I did last week is I rolled to see how long it would take you guys to get there. So you get there regardless of when you guys actually do it, because I rolled for how long it takes you to do. When you turn back and go somewhere completely other, it just means I'm going to have to roll to see how long it takes you once you start to set off again. Because you are going to a place where you have directions to, and you are basically searching this mountain system more than you are like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes the game is weird and it's not meant to have the clues that say you need to go to the rock that looks like a wolf and take 10 steps and then turn left and you'll see the cave entrance to the Duergar fortress. No, you're kind of looking for signs as you all go. of where this stuff is happening, kind of thing, and it gets you there. It's I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me. It's one of the biggest reasons why I still want to play with some OG like first edition style hex crawls, because hex crawls to me has always been the least explained thing in fifth edition. I have the least experience with it, and I got next to no experience with it when I played in high school. Hex crawls, I feel like were far more interesting how I often hear them described than how I've ever read wizards describe how to play them. Because wizards is just like, hey, every 10 miles you roll for a random encounter, and they like you almost roll to see which direction you go without having any clue where you are. It's very weird sometimes how they describe them. I feel like old school gamers had a much better idea of how to do it than the people who now own this game. But that's why I feel like last week we had somebody do a survival, and that's how I determined how many days it was going to take you to get there.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, so it's like the weird kind of eerie dreams is like kind of almost suggesting that we're still within the this druid's like sphere of influence. So we just have to maybe um put some distance, maybe kind of like you said, like try and look like we're going back towards civilization, following their orders, and then essentially double back and try to pick a new path through.
Yeah, definitely a part of it is that you guys basically did listen to the druid and you effectively avoided that combat. Because the druid is certainly hostile. But at the same time, like part of what these druids are doing is they are just trying to threaten the humans to leave Icewind Dale. And on some level, returning you to the cities with that threat is part of their goal. So I would say overall, you all are going to end up with that kind of evening where, yes, you do still feel haunted by the druid. If you continue forward, you all are going to be able to continue forward without that druid being more of a thing.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a plan to me.
Lead on, McDuck.
So as far as things go, did I forget that? You all kind of continue on into the east, getting closer to Dugan Hole. I kind of drew it around what looks like a little hill over there. I feel like that kind of is the idea that kind of keep to the hills and the valleys, where unless the druid is specifically like on your tail, you guys have a pretty solid way to kind of like move without backtracking before turning south. At that point, the Red Waters is pretty much entirely frozen over, so you don't necessarily have a difficulty to cross this. Most of that next day is going to go pretty much without a hitch here. As a blizzard picks up, though, I do want you all to kind of decide more or less what you are doing as blizzard conditions kind of set in and your vision starts to be reduced and you start to kind of lose track of your surroundings.
So Braddock is kind of he's gonna looking towards you now. Perhaps it's dangerous, but we have to perhaps we try to use this to our advantage and press on the weather to hopefully conceal our progress.
Let's take precaution and rope everybody up. Make sure no one Hope that we do not lose our own way in the storm.
Gotcha. So are you all just roping up in kind of a line here? My bad. I didn't let go of my push to talk. You just like roping up yourselves like in a straight line.
Yeah.
And I guess would we assume that at some point, like maybe while they were heading back towards Zugenhol, that's when Bastian met up with them and
100%. Yeah. Again, I don't necessarily care for big storylines as to how something happens. Um, it is always perfectly within my happiness to have the ethereal bartender kind of opening up a door in front of you, and you basically see as he kicks this guy out of this tavern that seems kind of raucous and busy, and all of a sudden this ethereal door kind of zips back up as it slams, and this person is in front of you. Um, I don't think there should be any reason to add and remove players. Very much video game style is perfectly happy to me where Bastion has entered the game.
yeah, he says something about he doesn't plan to end up like Stavros, and that's enough. He said to tells Brannick, who sent him and why he's here, and he just kind of falls in. I imagine we'd be kind of tied up and essentially going single file.
Gotcha. Let me get survival from you.
Oh, I think I'm gonna roll my portent dice. I think this time I didn't end up using the ones from last time, but
Yeah, I got you. Same idea. Most of the time with like these kind of fast forward days, I feel like roll them when you actually have a reason to. And in general, I meant to actually say with like those design rolls we were doing, um, a lot of things like I want to fake other dice specifically to not allow you to portent. But the goal was definitely not to let you portent those two rolls for design.
yeah, I figured out that's not the kind of thing that I could use on it, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't really plan on it. That'd be kind of a little bit.
It's one of those things where often when I actually recall it in that function, I'll ask for a D100 and just divide by 5 because that gives me the exact same roll.
Yeah, I kind of like use like obviously if we need to use it in combat, but I try to also use it sometimes for sillier stuff. So I don't feel like I'm trying to take too much advantage.
It's actually a frustrating thing about Matt Mercer creating the Chronergy Wizard is because it feels like they do the exact same thing. I really like that this one is like in those moments of kind of rewind. Let's choose this possible reality. So survival, I think got both of those there. Let me get perceptions from you all here at disadvantage in the blizzard.
Brannick is snowblind.
Jimbao's not doing much better.
Alrighty. So, as you all are kind of pushing forward through this blizzard, in a moment of tying yourselves up, starting to move back forward, there's going to just be a kind of big crashing as the ice beneath your feet starts to give way. And as the party all kind of scatters about, let me get. I feel like just do a dexterity saving throw for each character, including the dog can have a dexterity saving throw at advantage. No, it can be acrobatics. How about that? Acrobatics. No, dexterity saving throw. I feel like that makes better sense. And then the dog, the steel defender, can do dexterity at advantage. So both of your mains there, and then we'll do. Was it Hulu? Huli? And then Steel Defender, and bam. So yeah, as you all like have the snow and ice kind of crumbling out from below you, everybody is able to maintain your balances as you all are kind of tossed about. And let's see. Um, I think the second one there is Gaston.
Yep, right. North
Right
of Jim
behind you,
Ballard's.
Jabal. Yep.
Yep.
So let me have him make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Have you added his stats in? Do I just need to reload roll 20?
No, no, I did not do him during those breaks. Just use that little cheat sheet. Yeah, rolling. I feel like he's got con as one of his things, so that is definitely a very solid roll.
Yep. Strength and con are his two saving proficiencies.
And what is it? He's got +6 on them? No. Oh, it doesn't even say. It just says he's got proficiency. So his proficiency 2d8 +2, and he's got a +6, so his proficiency should be a +4. I feel like Matt Colville did a terrible job with how those maths work out. The math is very clear when you look at a monster, versus like his shit. Like the rogue has a different proficiency and strength bonus. Um, very poorly done on Matt's part. Very few things that I would say that. Um, yeah, so that's probably like a 21, I feel like. Um, so as it kind of glares into him, you're going to see as um his eyes start to kind of freeze a little bit. Save or suck, it looks like. Um, yeah, and in like a moment, his eyes kind of start to like show this like almost like freezing across the flesh before it just kind of like returns to normal. And the creature is going to start to claw out at him with both claws. So the first of these solid hits, it is going to be a DC 14 save. So it's another con save, and I think its proficiency is +4 right now. I feel like it should just be a 5th level character's proficiency bonus. But you rolled that 13. That's a success.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5th level character should have a +3 proficiency. That's part of why Matt Colville did a shit job on the proficiency. He should have a higher strength if he's got a +6 to hit. And then it also does cold damage. That is a DC 7, so I think you just need to roll a not 1. Bam. And then it's going to swing into him again, which will also hit. Same thing, DC 14 with the first one. Solid, and then DC 7 with the second one. Solid. And then, so let's see, we've got 5 of you tied together in a 50-foot rope. You guys can move up to 10 feet apart.
Should we go ahead and roll initiative?
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, Illusion Bow, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna. I'm gonna attempt to cut the rope, cut myself free.
Gotcha. For what it's worth, that can just be your first attack if you would like to make a sword attack here.
I will do unarmed so I can activate the agile parry.
Not sure I feel like that's going to work out for you. Like, even if you didn't roll like shit, an unarmed strike against rope isn't really going to do anything.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
I said an
Okay.
attack with your sword.
Yeah.
You need to cut the rope, not be like, you're a terrible rope. You're not trying to break its will to live.
Automatic.
And then assuming you strike out at the creature with the 8 is going to miss.
Correct. I will bonus.
Just going to kind of punch into a tuft of this creature's hair and seem to have no contact with the creature.
That will be my turn. The Iron Defender will 10 feet. That's the end of my turn.
And that will take us to Brannick.
So Brannick, seeing this creature kind of coming out of the, almost like erupting out of the ice, it seems like, or at least into their vision, is kind of, as he studies himself as the ice is kind of, beneath their feet. He's going to hold out his hands, and he's going to cast burning hands at the creature at second level.
Did that actually roll damage?
13, and it's a DC 15 Dex save.
I don't even. This is their own dark mode, and I can't see that damage. Like, I can highlight it, but
I think you can turn dark mode off.
Oh, it burns my eyes to look at white. I hate not having dark mode, but Roll20 has so many problems with it. I can't use like my browsers. So I was trying theirs, and for some reason it's hiding that fire damage. But that is a solid bit of damage into the creature.
I think Braddock is given they're all tied together, he's gonna hold there for now. He's got his dagger out ready to try and slash at the rope if he needs to free himself, but wanted to get that spell off first. As he's kind of flashing out this fire, the thing, Bastion is going to just, as he manages to kind of withstand the thing's assault, is going to bell out a challenge in response, and then slash at it with his sword.
Does challenge a wisdom saving throw like a paladin?
It looks like it's just automatic. The Swordmaster issues a challenge to an adjacent creature for 1 minute. If that creature attempts to attack a target other than the Swordmaster or attempts to move away from the Swordmaster immediately makes 2 attacks with its signature. So it doesn't actually affect
Gotcha.
its
It's better
ability
for him.
to choose. It's just if it attacks someone else or moves away, he gets 2 attacks, and then that's the end of the challenge.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's just going to get those. But that is a bonus action, so he can also do his signature.
Yep. So it'd be 18.
Solid hit. 2d8 plus 2 for the damage. So 12, and then do another actual attack with it as well. And then 4d8 plus 2. Excellent job. And that should take it back around to the creature. What did the challenge even say as it makes an attack?
If it attacks someone other than him, he immediately makes 2 attacks. It's a
Yeah, that
kind of
seems
as a
good enough.
reaction.
You can have him make 2 attacks here. It is going to do the glare at Huli, so they can make, I believe it is a Constitution DC 18. Well, I shouldn't tell you the DC, but Constitution saving throw for Huli, please.
And it looks like
Even
one of
that
those.
crit. So 14. And then make another Constitution saving throw for me with Huli. Oh, my bad. It's DC 21. She can't even save that. Huli is going to freeze and fall over unconscious. Let's see. $12. So it is going to. Yeah, I think it's going to claw twice into Huli. So the first one will be a hit with a 17. The second one will be a hit with a 24. And that's going to leave Huli with 4 more saves. 2 saves at DC 14. Con saves. So that'll be 2 death saves gone. Oh wait, they're crits, so she can't even save the 14s. Yeah, my bad. That's a psych out. That's going to kill Huli. And then it is going to go to. Ooh, I wonder what happens with the dog. I think it's the same as unconscious. That's going to go back around to Lu Jianbao. A solid hit for 7.
Gonna
I heard you go to speak. I did not hear what you were saying. Gotcha, Death Strike. That one is going to miss.
That will be it for my turn.
And it's going to go to Brennick.
All right, so Brannick, and he like looks at the rope dagger in his hand, but he's like, and he instead holds up his hand holding the orb, and
Oh, my
all of a
bad.
sudden,
That was kind of a psych out there. Part of why I was going into the thought about the dog is it can act independently if Huli is unconscious. Being dead is unconscious. So as far as things go, the dog can attack here. But other than that, like while he's rolling that, you can still go on with what Brennick is doing.
Ah,
That will
Inspired
also
attacks.
put it into the bloodied condition.
Inspired attack, seeing its master fall.
that's right.
Yeah, so Brannick is going to
I should have also described for you, fire was a good choice. This thing was suffering through the fire and definitely reacted to it. I perhaps should have given it a higher chance of attacking Brennick for it, but I still just rolled randomly.
okay, yeah, so I think Brannick he's basically gonna, you know, seeing the fire seems to be effective, he's gonna keep doing it the same thing. Casting another burning hands. Gonna do it at first level this time. Just a regular. It would be five damage if he fails, 2 if he passes.
Yeah, see, that one showed up. I'm not sure why. Oh, the other one might have been in a color because you might have rolled something like a 1 in the damage. Yeah, I don't think it knew what to do because you had both a crit, like on the 6, and you had a crit fail on the 1. So it might have chosen a really um and they didn't have it like programmed into the darknet mode.
Okay, that was a terrible burning hands.
Oh, well, it's definitely not the ones that did it because I see the 5. So maybe it's something with having the 6 and the 1. Or it could just be the 6, but 6s are usually green.
Yeah, so that's that's it for Brandon. You can see the kind of fire, like kind of just sputtering out the second time, almost as if he's like out of gas or something. Um, Meanwhile, Bastion is just still slashing away.
Yeah, it's the same thing. He can do 2 attacks, and then if you do a challenge, he will potentially have those coming as well. What is that? A 12? That's going to be a miss. That one will be a hit. So 2d8 plus 2.
And then I know it doesn't say it in the thing, but I almost feel like a challenge is like a once per combat kind of thing.
Yeah, again, those guys are kind of really like generic in how you do stuff. As far as the fact that it is um per day, you can certainly play it like that. But I feel like what that really is they've named it challenge, but it's him taking the opportunity that if it gets distracted, um, he can he can make that attack.
Okay. Well, maybe he might do it then again, uh, next, uh, next round if he needs to. But for this one, I'll just go with a regular two attack. So that's it for Brannick and Bastion.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder how much the MCDM crew actually tested those guys.
I mean, I don't know. That seems really powerful to me.
I think that the Sword Master is among the most powerful of those sidekicks. Having Constitution as their saves with how they take damage is huge. AC 18 obviously is definitely crazy with how those guys work. But yeah, I think that's one of those things that kind of makes things. It's a question of balancing. 3 is gonna be for Bastion again. Um, oh my bad, that wasn't actually attacking you.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Sorry.
no, that's me trying to interpret things. I think it is going to step away from the dog. Yeah, I think it's going to step back like that. So the dog and Brennick can have attacks of opportunity. And then I want everybody to make a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah, Brannick would just stab out at it with the dagger. Nope.
As well, he should. He thinks about it. So the important two are definitely good.
And that
That's the
second
one I
one's
really
for
wanted to get there. And then the dog. Um, what is that? That's Hooley's save. Oh yeah, there's no way the dog's got that. It's 5 below. So the dog is going to take the full damage of this. And I don't think it can survive. What is that, 31? 41? 31. And then each of you will take 15 cold damage. Oh
I
wait, I
keep
did too
forgetting.
little. My bad, I did too little there. That was a psych out. It's even more.
We do have the 10 hit points still, right? From the um
Yep, start of each day,
Lathander's.
you all would have those 10. Yep. It's actually the dog was going to take 44. Each of you will take 22 cold damage. So I think with that, the dog will be wiped out. Steel Defender will fall. And it is going to go back around to Lucian Bao.
Oh, in terms of that damage, how does Bastion save against that? Assume he needs some con saves.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, so he will take the damage from his save. And then the average damage is 45. So if it's halved, it's 22. So yeah, he's got to do a con save, and I think you need a 19 or a 20 for him to not die. And I think it's going to be outright because it's 10 hit points worth of damage. 5 hit points. Um, It's technically 5 hit points. This is... Yeah, so I think he's just really unconscious here, not necessarily finished.
Okay, it's just the one save you need.
Yeah.
And how much was the total damage that we took again?
22 for your characters. The Steel Defender would have taken 44.
Yeah, kablooey.
With enough dice, always take the average, because the average is 45. It's all that effort to roll, and I only got one less. But it is back around to Illusion Bow. This creature is bloodied. It certainly shows signs of being most affected by fire. And, yeah.
Well, I don't currently have any fire on me, so to attack.
Solid hit.
I'll apply Death Strike to that as well.
For 11 more. Solid strike into its meat.
And follow up with a flurry of blues.
That one is going to catch just a lot of kind of fur. And then the next one is going to hit for 4 more.
And that
Gotcha. So that will take us to Brennick.
Right, so Brennan seeing Bastion go down, and he's just it's like, enough of this, and he's going to move to get a little line of sight, and he is going to attempt to cast a fireball south of the Yeti in order to
Gotcha.
catch him, and he's going to use his 6 portent dice to give it a 6 on its saving throw.
Gotcha. And that one, it won't show me the damage.
23.
It's probably something about when you are rolling both a crit and a crit fail, because it's got another 6 and a 1 in the damage dice.
Yep, that's probably it.
So with that explosion, it will take it to a mortally wounded condition. Let me get a death saving throw from Bastion. 1 failed there. Right back for Bastion. So if it goes for him on the ground, I don't think there's anything he can really do to survive 3 attacks from it. It will kill Bastion here. And then we will have you two finish this creature off. And I think we will basically kind of fast forward through. You know what? There's one more encounter that I feel like gives you all like a solid opportunity to perhaps learn things that isn't simply just some of the evil shit in the wild. So we're gonna kind of like fast forward through some of these things. So we'll pick up with you two can create 2 new sidekicks. I'm very sorry about that. I do like at least some bit of the dice are going after them for these crazy threats, rather than your actual characters. But at the same time, that does obviously it works both ways, and that it kind of sucks. Um, at some point in this night, you all will encounter another frost giant. Pretty similar battle. It is super deadly to get hit by a frost giant, but you all can overwhelmingly swarm a lot of these big things that kind of naturally exist out here at this point. And I think it is well understood your abilities when you guys actually throw your power forward, you can overcome these things. The next day, at some point during your afternoon, you will encounter a party of Goliaths. Can I have? Let's go, Don. Can you roll a d6? Really any die. Odd will be the worm crag, and even is the other one. So what is the other one called? Sky Tower, I feel like. Um, so this is a crew of like 4 humanoids, which at some point in your afternoon you all are going to be kind of walking up on. Let's get a survival from you all here.
And after the battle, Brannick's like looking at Bastion's corpse, like, well, at least he didn't go the way Stavros did. Did say he wouldn't.
Did we have time for a short rest, or you said
Oh
next
yeah,
day?
again, like we're fast forwarding through you guys like killing another frost giant that night. This is
Okay.
the next day. I'm going to get you guys to the actual fortress. I just wanted to give you an opportunity so you have like maybe 10 minutes with these Goliaths before I describe some of the other things. But yeah, we're kind of moving past all of these encounters.
Okay. Okay.
Travel montage with various fights and stuff.
Well, like the Druid was a big one where you guys could actually learn something from it. And then the Goliaths were the other one where there's stuff to learn. Like there's another set of Perytons after this, which is just dangerous. Not necessarily a big threat from them. Um, so when you all, yeah, you both rolled 8 and 10. Let me get perceptions from you here. So as you all are traveling, Lu Jianbao, you will pick up that there is a group of humanoids traveling to one particular direction. Let me see if I rolled this or Blizzard. I have to let go of the. Yeah, so this is pretty clear. So they're really just off in the distance, and they seem to be traveling. What is this? This is the day later, so this is 2 days after the Druid. They're probably in the actual mountains and just like a ways away from you all. So if you're traveling, I feel like at this point, the Yeti was probably about there. The Frost Giants was probably about there, and you guys would have camped in relatively the same location, perhaps going so far as that actual forest. The next day in the afternoon, so you would probably see these humanoids on one of these passes. Yeah, I think those are probably the most likely. While you all are, say, traveling just to the west of them and more or less making your way south, kind of along this route there. What kind of thoughts do you all have there?
Do we recognize, or I guess from this distance, do we recognize them as Goliaths?
Make a make an intelligence at disadvantage from Brennick. Lucian Bao, you can do an intelligence. Because I think the big problem is it's hard to determine how far away they are versus their size. Yeah, for what it's worth, I think they just look like humanoids to you all at this point.
Gotcha.
So I think for what it's worth, it's more a question of an honest question to yourselves. Are you looking to go out of your way to find humanoids who are wandering in this area, or are you looking to keep to yourselves and kind of move stealthfully at this point?
So not knowing what type of humanoids they are, Brannick's probably thinking like, okay, we're looking for the Duergar. It's possible these creatures either are them or um, know of them. Don't know if they're hostile or not. So he definitely is thinking, try and get a closer look, see who these creatures are.
Does that sound good, Liu Bao?
Sure. We don't have seem to have any luck with hey, it's a friend.
No, we did manage to talk down those bugbears after a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, after a little bit of a fight. So I guess we haven't totally lost all hope, but yeah, I'd say maybe get a closer look if possible.
Well, spoilers, the other ones were the friendly ones.
Yeah, that tracks with our luck.
It's literally a 50%. And you rolled the ones that are not friendly.
Yep, that's well. We're gonna start doing.
So,
We're gonna do the diligence.
um,
What
as you all approach from, say, like 100 or 200 feet away, they are going to notice you. With high ground, they kind of like don their spears and are more or less looking down at you. You can see the start of their size. Perhaps a little bit more telling is the fact that these creatures are not necessarily bundled up in the same way as you are. They certainly wear furs, but they have a lot of flesh that is still exposed, despite the fact that it is still like negative 40 degrees out during, this kind of like aurora period of the day. Um, Yeah, so I think that first thing is going to be that reaction from quite a distance away as they basically like kind of like take their weapons and are more or less looking down on you. They're not like attacking at you, but they've drawn them forth. What kind of thoughts do you all have going on that initial?
initial thoughts are to try to avoid confrontation.
think Brannick is he's gonna call out to them in common. He not exactly sure. He's met one Goliath before, but probably still not entirely sure. So he's going to essentially kind of call out, hold up a one hand to show that he's not wielding a weapon, but um, not really deferential, kind of trying to hold his ground, and he'll call out in common. We mean no harm. We would converse
Um, so I think you'll hear from above in kind of like a broken common as one of them kind of like leaning over onto its spear, kind of like looking over this like hill or like this kind of cliff face looking down towards you, kind of yelling out, "We search for one of ours. Our business is beyond you. You are free to pass. Do not dwell in Sky Tower lands."
We have no intention of dwelling here. Wish you luck in finding your companion. Uh, Tell us, have you seen any um, Duergar, gray dwarves, on your own travels? We have business with them of a sort.
Make a persuasion. I think as you see, like three of them kind of walk off and already start to move, kind of like up this like spine of the mountains that they're climbing on, basically continuing on in the same direction they were. You'll see as kind of one of them, kind of like the one that's like speaking to you, will kind of like look back, seeing its friends leaving, is going to stand and start to walk away. And just as kind of like an afterthought, is going to yell back, "Your search is nigh." Effectively giving you like a curt confirmation. You'll find the Durgar. You're close. And I feel like that's probably enough with what you guys have about this mountain range. This is where people have already started to kind of finger and guide you. But for what it's worth, like these people don't necessarily care one way or another, and they go back about their business.
Yeah, I mean, having gotten that kind of confirmation from them, Brannick is he's more than happy to let them go on their way.
So again, like as they kind of leave you all, you have at least the understanding that you are pretty close to Durgar. They at least confirm that there's kind of Durgar in just that kind of response. Um, Again, you would have another issue with Perrytons in that evening. I feel like they might have been right before Don came. So just as far as like Lucian Bao learning about Perrytons, in case Don does or does not know, these are kind of winged flying creatures that, while they appear to women to be eagles with kind of like deer torsos and uh like antlers, to a man they have a nude female like human torso, and they 100% prey on men, and they tend to go for the heart, in that if they can pull somebody's heart out, they will throw the body to the ground and kind of fly off. They are all kind of female, and Brennick has lost one of his friends to a Perryton attack. But you all will kind of have an occurrence with them. Um, the next day in the morning, you all would be assaulted by some gnolls, and kind of at least giving you at least a little bit more of information that like the actual mountain areas are infested by gnolls, not necessarily a particular area. So that might cast a little bit of doubt on where you all might be searching for the gnolls. And then 2 more days of searching are going to go by. And then when we pick up next time, we are going to pick up with you all on Myrtle the 22nd. And we are going to have you all basically early in the morning arriving at the um, oh man, I wanted to say Sky Tower Shelter, but that's literally the Goliaths you just met. The entrance to the Duergar fortress, because you are eventually going to kind of round the right valley and see at the end of this long valley is this massive stone fortress that very clearly gives away that the Duergar have made another home here. And I think I'm going to drop the picture into the Discord, but I think that's going to end the session for today.
All right. A deadly session, but luckily not for the nobody important died.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost precisely why I like having sidekicks, is it gives you guys like a 50% chance. Um, and realistically, like all of those rolls, except for the first one, I counted like where I placed you on the actual map. Um, every other one, it's always like in initiative. So it is kind of crazy to me how often I am just rolling the actual sidekicks.
Yeah, I think of like when Bastion showed up and then died like a minute later. I was thinking of The Shining, when the caretaker or whatever like comes like I'm here to comes to try and like rescue, and then like a second later he's just like, look, gone.
It's it's just crazy. That one thing to keep in mind is that is part of the danger of when people are holding back resources.